The GT4 European Series makes its annual visit to Misano this weekend. It is a very popular place within the GT4 Europe calendar, and it is the 10th season of GT4 racing in this format for the GT4 European Series, by which I mean it has a silver, a pro-am and an am category. And always around here, the racing is fantastic. It's a nice, fast circuit. It's a flat circuit as well. It's got some fast flowing sections, some really twisty bits, and some good overtaking opportunities as well. It's a very hot track this morning, nearly 46 degrees, the track temperature. Even at about 7 this morning, it was warm enough outside to make you sweat. 60% humidity. It's a tough day for drivers, for crews, for cameramen who are out in it as well. Not so much topping up the tan as trying not to be baked on the Marshall's trackside as well. So we're getting ready for Q1 here, and it's going to be split as has become the norm really, to give people a chance of some clear track space. Q1A is driver one from Silver, and then Q1B, the Pro-Ams and the Ams go together. David Addison and Joe Osborne are trackside, and we're looking forward to what promises to be a really lively session indeed. And as I say, you can see Q1A drivers getting themselves ready. The Silvers are all there in the pit lane, and it's quite a physical circuit this, and it's going to be, I say, a very hot day, whether you're in a car, whether you're out of the car. In a session like this though, Joe, first up, I guess it's to make sure you get a banker lap in. You've only got 10 minutes. I know we talk about track limits a lot, but here, because it's a motorbike circuit as well, very flat curbs. In McLaren Trophy, for example, yesterday, people were being done for more than 8 transgressions in one session alone. So here, just get a time in, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, simple, isn't it, when in the cold light of day, but you can look at those very welcoming curbs here at Misano, and there's just so many opportunities. There's 6 cameras out there on the 16 corners that afford us. So, and as a driver, you're looking for thousands. We've seen cars with times, haven't we? So every little counts, and it's going to be the problem. And the other problem for the track limit officials is there's so many, there's actually a delay in reporting it. So as a driver, sometimes you're told a couple of minutes after it's happened, so you think you've got away with it, and it turns out you haven't, and the whole lap time is gone.
Yeah, and it's a quick lap as well, relatively speaking, isn't it? Because if you take free practice 1 as an example, 1 minute and 41. Now, you know, if you're transgressing at turn 14, 15 out of 16, you're right, you'll have done that lap. You think you've got the time before that can come up. Joe talks about 6 cameras for these track limits. They're track limit cameras, not our cameras. They're additional ones put in by the race officials. They've got this feed that you're looking at as well to keep an eye to things. So it's going to be an interesting session, this. Free practice 1 yesterday was topped by the Michael Haverans Ford Mustang, and the second free practice session by the Aston Martin of Clement Seiler. So you could argue that you've got sort of similar types of cars, front engine and lots of grunt, but a Mustang and an Aston Martin, they're still quite different beasts. Yeah,
they are. We do see the mid-engine go well in qualifying. Because of that weight distribution being slightly more even, they turn the tyre front and rear axle on slightly better. Those mid-engine cars, the Audi and the McLaren especially do well at that. The Supras always go well here because of the amount of curbs you have to use, and that's the hard bit as a driver. We go back to track limits. Last bit for me for now is that there's legal and illegal, but it's only illegal if you're caught. And so lots of the apexes are unpoliced, so you're able to manipulate the line better, and for me the Supra is the best GT4 at that.
Another car that's gone well around here traditionally as well is the BMW, isn't it? And here you've got Borusan Automotive coming on the back of their first ever double. They won both races at Spa. Now, winning 1 in GT4 European Series takes some doing. To win 2 and to do it at Spa, that was quite a result. We're looking at the Mustang though. This first part of qualifying, 20 minutes, but split into these 2 10-minute stanzas. So the Silver Cup cars get 10 minutes, and then they pit, and then the AMs and the Pro-Ams venture out. Then we do have a break between Q1 and Q2. This grid is being set for race 1, today's race, barring any penalties that lurk in the system, whether it's from yesterday, from Spa, if you cause a collision there, there might be some carryovers, or the dreaded track limits as well. So we'll try and keep an eye to times as best we can, but relative to the grid, there might be a few surprises. There, the BMWs then of the Turkish Borusan Automotive team, with Thomas Rackel in number 12 in his first season in the championship, but winning those 2 races with Gabriele Piana last time out, a major boost for him. You've also there got going through the sister car, number 11, which is going to be in the hands of Batı Yildirim, Yagish Gedik the co-driver in that. But the two of them running together. Now, is there a benefit to doing that, towing your teammate around, or do you want to get on with it yourself?
I wouldn't say the tow in GT4 is massive. It's more just going to be giving the reference for the car behind of where to brake, and you find the rhythm for sure. But yeah, going back to Thomas Rackle, I thought he had a mega race 2 at Spa. Race 1 was really Piana doing the big undercut, which won him the race. And then we thought Rackle might struggle in race 2, but his pace was much, much closer to the ever rapid Piana. And for me, he made a big step forward in between those 2 races at Spa.
So we'll see whether he can rackle up 2 more wins over the course of this weekend. Now, the Audis have had a tough season. Number 8 there is the Greg Gilbert Paul Petit car, which is doing better than the reigning champions, but so we were questioning at Spa, weren't we, maybe whether the Audi is coming towards the end of its shelf life. These are, relatively speaking, old cars in GT4 terms. Yeah, and the spares must be getting harder to come by. The 44 sister speed car Audi of Ripper had a large shunt in testing, so hopefully speed car got that together. Audi still supporting the car. The truck is in the paddock with spare parts, but like you said, David, is only getting ever older, this car now. And this is 8th in the championship, the Gilbert Petit car. Robert Consigny and Benjamin Lariche having had, as the reigning champions, their worst season thus far. They're still 7th, so actually when they have scored, they've scored well. They just haven't scored as well as many times and as well as they would like. But right now here, you can see how Greg Gilbert rather looks like he's got the track to himself. And that's exactly what you want in qualifying. So easy to get traffic in qualifying because the delta's so big as some cars are on out laps or in laps or finding space. Suddenly you think you've got through 300 meters of space and suddenly it goes. You can see on the graphic there, purple sector 1 as cars only really starting to put some representative times in. Car didn't look great on the exit curb though. As it hit the curb, it seemed to buck ever so slightly. These cars have traction control and sometimes that movement can sort of trick the TC into activating, which of course loses you forward drive. Now, Benjamin Lariche has set the notional target time, 1 minute 47.525, but we know that there's a lot more to come, and that's going to be, no doubt, towards the end of the session. Now, Pirelli rubber, everybody runs on. How many laps can you get out of a set of tyres? How many laps do you want to get out of a set of tyres, given that you need them for at least 1 race? There's definitely 3 flying laps on the tyre, possibly 4, because they're coming from cold. There is that prep lap, so you're already putting over 8 kilometers on these tyres, just getting them into the window, and then each lap you're doing around here another 4.2 kilometers. And like you said, David, that is all added mileage that you're going to get at the end of their life, which is at the end of race 1. So 1:41.004 now, Benjamin Lariche's time. Greg Gilbert goes through and goes faster still, 1 minute 40.755 now. So it is the Audi 1-2. So as we say, coming to the end of their shelf life and their fastest looking up the front row thus far. But I suspect that's going to change because we've still got a little bit of time, albeit only 3.5 minutes of this first part. So again, coming to that question, how many laps can you do? How many do you want to do? Well, you're also dictated by the clock because by the time you've done an out lap and a prep lap, you haven't got many flying lap opportunities, which again takes us back to track limits, yawn. You can't afford to throw them away. Ibanez now goes fastest. He's the most successful driver around here, 3 times a winner. And Luc Ibanez in the Mercedes up to the top of the times by a 10th. Big hit of curb, those yellow bananas that run perpendicular really unsettle the car, and that's what Ibanez felt there. And again, the traction control would have kicked in. Nearly 500 horsepower, these cars, but the traction control then limiting it. As we look at Stephen Hayden's here, purple sector 1, good sector 2 as well. We're into this final tricky sector 3 here at Misano. This is an ever-tightening right, and you've got to get the car slowed down. Big snap of oversteer, and there is a track limit warning camera there, and that was right on the limit. Okay, I'll wait to see whether that one's going to come up as a lap time deletion. Yanni Stephen Hayden, who's only raced here once before, that was, or at one event, that was back in 2023 in French Formula 4. The team, Elite Motorsport, also made its Misano debut in 2023. Podium here the year after. Yanni Stephen Hayden will break the beam now and goes 3rd fastest in terms of a lap time. And nothing has yet come up about taking that lap away, but that's not to say that it won't. No, and we'll keep an eye on it, but there's only been 2 track limits on our screen so far, so everyone's obviously been well behaved, or there is a backlog in the processing, so let's keep an eye on that. Ibanez was quick in sector 1, even with that curb usage, which is impressive, slightly down in 2, but this is still an opportunity. The next lap he starts will be his last lap, won't it? These cars just squeezing in, they've got to be off the track. Well, they can't start a flying lap after 10 minutes remaining on the clock. Yeah, that's right, because at that point, there's that sort of crossover lap as these come in and everyone else goes out, and then the session starts to calm a little when you've got the Pro-Ams and the AMs on their own. Sergio Nicolai up to 8th in his Audi, so good effort there, 1:41.316. At the moment, you've got the top 10 covered by just under a second. Yeah,
it's tight, isn't it? And we've got double the field to come out as well to keep that gap even smaller, of course, as we look at two of the elite cars. Now we're looking at Cresswell. You can see Stephen Hines in the background. This is where that car had a huge night. What's Cresswell going to do? Car a bit more stable for him. He seemed like he was on the brakes ever so slightly earlier. You can brake earlier but softer and still get a similar lap time as Stephen Hines had a huge snap over here. Once more in the background, it looks like Cresswell's car a little more docile, a bit more balanced front to rear grip.
Mackenzie Cresswell made his Misano debut here last year, as did Charlie Hart. Stephen Hydens, we talked about for elite, but Harry Reynolds, Ravi Ramy, Charlie Robertson, surprisingly, all new to the circuit. Up towards the timing line, then comes Mackenzie Cresswell. 5th he was, 4th he is. Yanni Stephen Hydens goes through behind him and gets up to 3rd fastest now, but Stephen Hydens' current lap time cancelled, track limits turn 13. So he might be 3rd, but he might not stay there.
Yeah, exactly. The track limits are coming in now, so if you do see cars disappearing off your timing screen, that is why. Cars have another 20 seconds to start one more flyer in this Group 1A session.
Benjamin Lariche, I don't think we've actually seen, but he's gone fastest and he's boxed. So confident is he in the work done. As you look here at another car that's gone really well this year, the SRO Motorsport Mercedes AMG, drivers new, team new to the championship. And their number 111 is the Enrico Federer Cedric Fuchs car that has taken 3 race wins. They had 1 victory at Paul Ricard. They had 2 at Monza, so 3 all added together, and they are leading the championship by 30 points. That's quite a big gap.
Yeah, I expect him to box at the end of this lap. That middle sector didn't look great. Had quite a lot of understeer in the car, so the car not able to get to the apexes. And you can see, sure enough, he lost half a second there as all the cars flood out. So pit entry is quite interesting here at Misano. It's just here on the left, and you can really attack it. And he's going to finish the lap. Interesting to see if he can improve on his 6th place. Thinks he probably can, or is he just trying to get another banker lap on the board?
Let's see, Fodor a good sector 1, as you say, down in sector 2, breaks the beam, 6th, stays 6th. Yeah, that pit exit blends round the outside of turn 3, and it was in GT4 testing a few years ago that somebody had a big moment going through turns 1 and 2 and 3 and wiped out a car coming out of the pit lane. That was very much the innocent victim. So now the grid isn't formed necessarily, because you need to factor in where these Pro-Am and Am class cars are going to be. And some are going to be up there, as you look at number 4 first up, which is the Speedy Motorsport Mies Houben and Lachlan Everett Toyota. That's heading for the pits. That's a silver, as denoted by the blue background to the competition number. So number 4 is the car, and the blue background means it's a silver, and it's coming up to take the checkered flag. It is Mies Houben at the wheel of the car. He breaks the beam, stays 10th. Interesting that. Another car going well in the first sector, but then ebbing away 2 and 3.
The drivers should know from feel it's going to be a slow up, and then they're backed up with the data, the delta on the screen telling them are they up or down on the best lap that car has achieved. So drivers obviously deciding they still want some track knowledge, potentially even at the cost of tyre life.
Right, so where do we anticipate the best of the Pro-Ams might end up? There is Lachlan Everett, the Australian driver. He'll get into the car for Q2. Interesting, he's already suited and booted. He's got to wait at least 10 minutes for this, plus, you know, the gap in the middle. But there he is, ready to go. So is that just to get used to the heat, for example?
I'm not sure I'd get ready in the car. I'm that lazy, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, track temp is already at 46, ambient nearly 32. So it's quite a good way to stop people talking to you as you put your helmet on and someone you don't like walks over to you. Bryn Lucas, for example, you just put your visor down and they don't talk to you anymore.
It's worked wonders for you. They're one of the 2 Lotuses, which is an Italian team, the PB Motorsport squad. It's run by Stefano D'Aste, but on home soil. D'Aste at the wheel of 26 at the moment. Max Schiavone at the wheel of 56. And Lachlan Everett's not the only driver that wants to avoid conversation, because there are others all ready to go for their session. The track all of a sudden looks busy, whereas the Silvers seem to be able to get track position. The Pro-Ams and the Ams, and arguably there are a few more of them if you combine those classes, but you know, they all seem to have gone out on block rather than being able to measure the gap between them. Let's see. To the pit lane we should go next. Bryn Lucas is there, and he's got Benjamin Lariche fastest in the first part of Q1.
Well, Benjamin, last year this was a great place for you. 2 wins for yourself and your teammate last year. And it was this point in the championship really where your season started to be a bit trickier. Yet 2026, the season's been the other way round, and yet you're looking in very fine form here at Misano.
Yes, we need to score good points. And here in Misano, like last year, to hope win the championship again. So it's I think it's our last chance to be champion. So yes, I did a very good lap on the free practice. We were P5, P6, and I think I did the job. I did a very good lap. Here it's tricky with the track limit. And yes, I did a good lap, and I hope Robert will do the same because yes, we need a good point to come back to the championship. And I'm happy because it's a second pole in a row in Italy, so yes, it's nice.
It's not bad. It's 50% done though, but well done. Get your head down, and we'll see you later on. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the easy bit in a sense, though, pole position. You know, surviving for an hour. It was 2-3 years ago here. They suffered punctures, and when that car goes well, it goes really well. But when it's having one of its occasional gremlin-laden seasons, and this looks to be one of them, just about anything that can go wrong does, whether it's damage, whether it's puncture. Didn't we have somewhere a flapping door? They've incurred penalties. You know, it's all myriad dramas that all go against them. Vinny Beltramelli there you're looking at, number 3 Audi. Guess what? Another of the team speed car fleet. And Beltramelli should be competitive, I would have thought. He's had a class win, and that came at Monza earlier on in the season.
Yeah, he's actually matched Lariche's Sector 1 so far as well. So this is a good start to the lap for the sister speed car of Benjamin Lariche we just spoke to. The Audi very strong in Sector 2, the sector that we're in now. Although to me, the body language of the car looks slightly strange as we have a stopped Porsche.
Oh dear.
Looks like it's in a safe enough place where we could carry on. I think that's on the inside of T1. I think we could stay under green for that one potentially.
Looks like it might be the Nico Ferrarand car, number 24. But yes, as you say, it has stopped trackside. By the look of it, not far from turn 1, and there is quite a lot of real estate on the inside of the circuit there. So Joël Doval, the race director, will keep an eye as to whether or not that's in a good, safe place or not. And a call will come. Bearing in mind, they've only got 4 more minutes anyway, so the drivers don't need a yellow, particularly. They certainly don't want a red flag, because that throws the round plan out of the window completely.
Yeah, where's this going to put Beltramelli? It's going to be inside the top 6 if Sector 3 was good. He's going to get traffic on his next few laps, though, potentially, as he catches the other elite McLaren. He does go 6th, so our lead Pro-Am car at the moment is that number 3 car, as we get a replay of the 24 pulling off at turn 1. Just a complete loss of drive, and to be fair to Farron, he does a mega job of getting fully out of the way, and annoyingly for them, that will be session done.
Steph Bush down at Elite Motorsport with the stop board for 77. Jenny Stevenheidens. And if you've got any complaints about Elite's livery or bits hanging down for the mirror, relay them now. Steph listens and they get put right for the race, you see. That's how it works. We had something flapping in the car, didn't we, earlier on in the season? Window net, that's right.
Really got me for some reason.
And it was all sorted for the race, and we got this message to say we are listening, you know. So there is 72, Aston Martin. That's the car that comes from the Racing Spirit of Le Mans stable for David Kuhlmann. Florent Grisot will take over for Q2, but it is David Kuhlmann now. A little bit of a lock-up there as he heads towards the curve of Tramonto up at turn 10. There's a kink at 9 and then the corner itself at 10. But quite a lot of corners here that lead into another, if that's not a silly thing to say, because here, this final part of the lap, for example, turn 11, 12, 13, 14, you go right, but every corner tightens, doesn't it? You've got a kink into a corner, into a slightly tighter corner, into a hairpin. Yeah,
it's kind of that motorbike feel, isn't it? It's what the motorbike's like, in that ever-tightening, lay the bike down feeling. In the car, it's difficult because you're always trying to create straight lines out of corners. So when you're given 4 corners in one, you're basically going around trying to draw a protractor shape, but only with straight lines, and that's why it's such a challenging circuit for all of these drivers. Just thinking about the 24, they're obviously going to want to try and get that car back for the second part of qualifying so they can get Julien Brioche in, but almost Ferrand doing such an honest job. I don't think they're going to get that back for any part of this qualifying.
No, you could take it under the circuit from where it is. It just depends whether the race director is prepared to let the recovery vehicle go. We did have, I noticed, 1 or 2 GT2 cars that were stranded, and they didn't come back until the end of that cumulative session, not individual parts. So there's your flatbed. Anyway, we'll keep an eye. You're right, it could be the end of the session completely for them as you look at number 60 BMW. That's the Razun More Than Racing car, Gustavo Xavier at the wheel of number 60. Charlie Robertson, though, has now gone fastest out of this pack. So he's up to 6th overall, Charlie, number 71 McLaren. As you look here at Max Kronberg, who is, of course, the man to beat in AM. 3 times a winner this year, reigning champion. He's 34th in the times, but has just gone fastest in class. Pole position in AM in so doing.
There is Robertson, who's on a purple Sector 1. Looks like he's backed out of it because the Audi's going to blast past, isn't it? And he was fair there because they're fighting for their lead of the class, but also 6th place. They're 6th and 7th, those cars. And is that Robertson giving up, or is he just trying to get a cool up? He's got time for one more push after this.
Yeah, just going back to AM, although I say Max Kronberg has taken 3 wins with Daniel Blickler, he did not do the first event at Paul Ricard. So Blickler leads the championship on his own because Kronberg wasn't there, he can't score points. One BMW very gentlemanly gets out of the way of a charging Gustavo Xavier, who is 29th right now. So the BMW heading up towards the completion of the lap, and he'll do well to squeeze one more out of it because we've got about 34 seconds on the clock, but he will squeeze through. Gustavo Xavier then here makes that run towards turn 16. Charlie Robertson quickest then within Pro-Am from Vinny Beltramelli, and then Edwin Hellstein's Porsche 3rd. Gustavo Xavier will come across the line now and goes up to 23rd in the times, and that therefore is 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10th within Pro-Am. So that front right wheel look ever so slightly loose, or just lots of energy being put through it as he went through turns 1 and 2. Have a look, way up the curb there. And is that legal? That's just about right, isn't it?
Yeah, as long as the tyre is touching the white line, the outside of the track is legal. So as a driver, that was loads of margin, at least 10 to 12 centimetres there. And some impressive numbers. We've got that sort of second covering the top 17. But actually, the more impressive one for me is the top 5 covered under 0.2 of a second. Really shows you what a tight race this is going to be this afternoon.
Yeah, top 7 by just under 0.4 as well. Offer you more and more numbers about how crazy close it is. Right, checkered flag for Q1B, and the fast lane is open for Q2A. So the cars you saw initially in silver, but now with the co-driver on board, they can queue up ready to get into a fresh session.
Yeah, different set of tyres as well, just to clear up as well. So they all have a brand new set of Pirelli rubber as well. So they have slightly less fuel than the Q1 sessions. Robertson did do a cool lap and another push. How's this looking on the sectors? It was a good 1 and a good 2. This could be an improvement. Where's it going to put him? Shortest line and more to the finish line. Goes up to 5th, so puts a car in between him and Beltramelli.
Yeah, keeps the class pole and also puts Greg Gilbert's Audi between him and the opposition. So good job done that by Misano rookie Charlie Robertson. I find that really extraordinary that he's not raced here before, but that's what we're told by Elite. And in replay, how's that for track limits? That's spot on, absolutely perfect.
Yeah, really good. Charlie must have known he was on a good lap and didn't want to ruin it there. He then ran on the grass, didn't he? It was a bit of a sim racing hack for a while where it used to cool the tyres down. So maybe too much time spent on iRacing for young Charlie.
So Charlie Robertson for an in-lap to give that car to Ravi Ramyid. Number 78, meanwhile, is now going to be taken out by Charlie Hart, 3rd generation racer within the Hart family. And that car ready to be released. Teams getting themselves set, drivers getting ready as required. And 1 and 2 teams looking quite pleased and relaxed about life after the evidence of what we've had in the first part of qualifying. Target time then, 1 minute 40.556 as in comes Max Kronberg, Daniel Blickler's Porsche. But yeah, just to see whether on that lighter fuel load, as Joe mentioned, we can go faster than Benjamin Lariche in Q1.
And it's not much fuel around here because it's quite a short lap. The GT4 is burning roughly 2.2 kilos of fuel a lap, so they're going to be about 10 to 12 kilos lighter, which really doesn't sound like much, does it? But every little helps. Marginal gains around here, 10 kilos, could be worth a tenth. 10th and a half would be my guess on that one.
Yeah, the lap is 4.226 kilometres in length, but with pretty little in terms of undulation. It's a nice flat flowing circuit. You're on board with Hudson Schwartz right now, who, remember, was a winner of the second race at Paul Ricard at the very start of the season. He takes over that car now from Lucas Cartel. The two SRO Motorsport by Schnitzelarm Mercedes trying to elbow their way in, one of which being driven for the first time by the Macanese driver Raymond Lou. He did Q1 in number 110, and JL Mesh now takes over. That's the car to beat so far. Number 1, Robert Consani, takes over for this session. His son Andy now busy racing in Formula 4 single-seaters, but there's no suggestion yet that Robert Consani is going to give up on his racing.
No, nor should he with the pace he's doing. 10 seconds until we go green here. Interesting pit lane at Misano. It's so long, the actual red light, you've still got about 18 seconds of 50 kilometres an hour till you get to the exit. So the session even shorter. That's a good job done by Charlie Robertson.
Absolutely. Ravi Rami there in the white overalls, his co-driver, says well done. And Ravi now has at least 10 minutes to get on board and make himself comfy. Somebody else new to the circuit as you ride with Hudson Schwartz as he makes his way now out on track. You see what we mean about this long pit lane. Looks really narrow, doesn't it? Spa-esque with the barriers either side of you. And that takes you along turn 1 and round the back of 2, and you blend back in on the exit of 3. So it's always slightly misleading when you see a pit stop race, because it's a completely different line to rejoin from the pits than it is on the racetrack.
Yeah, they had to. You can actually see where the old pit exit used to be. I remember coming here testing and going, that's pretty dangerous. It fired you straight into turn 1. And so if anyone had slightly broken, you just got doored instantly. So I know you said we have had incidents here with the new pit lane, but it's a much more logical place. But it's a long pit lane, over 600 meters in length. A drive-through is 46 seconds. So it's not quite Spa with our double pit lane that we have there, but it's one of the longer ones of the year for sure.
So Q2 underway. These the silver graded drivers that are on track first of all, and looking for clear track position. And even now there are still, like the Borusan Automotive BMWs, cars making their way on track, so they've been quite prepared to let the traffic go. Do not want to get bottled up in the pack, unlike the Pro-Ams and the AMs were doing. There is number 110, Joel Mesh, then at the wheel. As befits GT racing, great sound that all the cars make, distinctive engine notes, whether it's the Audi or the Toyota or the Aston Martin, or of course that Ford Mustang you can see there growling its way down towards turn 11, which is the Curvoni right-hand kink. Now, we talked about what a good job Benjamin Lariche had done. A very good job for class pole in Pro-Am. Charlie Robertson, and he's with Bryn Lucas in the pits now.
Well, Charlie, getting a class pole is one thing, but P5 overall, that you must be very happy with that.
Yeah, especially being both Ravi and I's first time here at Misano. I'd done no testing here prior, a lot of sim work, so it's nice to show that that can pay off and sort of slot straight into the groove of the circuit. Lovely track to drive. The McLaren felt mega all qualifying. We knew we had some good pace over the last couple of days testing, so it's nice to put that into practice in quali.
Yeah, the McLaren does seem to go very well around here. Looking at, I think there's 3 McLarens back-to-back out there on track. The BMW seems to be very tricky on the tyres, on the curbs, because they're quite sharp here. Yeah. You don't seem to have that issue in the McLaren. We've
got to avoid the big ones. There's some big, like yellow sort of sleeping policeman-looking things. We found out the hard way yesterday. We bent some suspension components on those at turn 1, so we're having to stay a little bit mindful of those ones. But the McLaren's corner ability has always been great, and obviously there's not a huge amount of straight lines here compared to Spa or Monza, so I think that suits us a little bit better.
Race 1 is ready to go. Good luck.
Perfect, mate. Thanks.
Yeah, really good job done then, Charlie Robertson, having, as he says, not been here before, but a good advert for the use of a sim these days.
Yeah, really is, and drivers using it more and more. Still a preference on it. My personal one is I like to learn a track, but that's it. Sometimes you can get very fast on the sim, but then real world there's some nuances, some differences, of course, but it is normally only a positive, and drivers now using it more and more. And the racecraft is so important as well, and race cars so expensive. When you make a mistake in real life, it's much more painful than just hitting reset and going again.
So 10 minutes are on the clock, 10 minutes are ticking down as well, as we've got 6 minutes and change still to go, and as yet no one's recorded a lap time, but it is going to be Robert Consani, I think, who is the driver to beat once more in number 1 Audi. Looking good. You're on to see number 5 here, James Sherrington, come up towards the timing line. James, who's also from a good racing family, whether it's been on track or through race officialdom. He goes second behind Robert Consigny, but a full second adrift, although I'd rather fear this is somebody else new to Misano. James Sherrington coming out of UK national racing, then with just about everywhere he goes, somewhere new to learn. Of course, we don't have a British round for the GT4 European Series, sadly.
Yeah, and learning a track's a big skill, and you kind of take it for granted, but it's a strange skill. And I've always found if you can do well in life at remembering a journey, then you learn a track quicker. There seems to be a link with guys I coach, and then you start to link corners. If you go, oh, actually that looks a bit like this corner from a previous track, and you start to build up a bit of a Frankenstein, and that's the quickest way to learn a track. Some drivers get it done in 5 laps, they're up to speed. Some will take 50, and everyone is somewhere on that spectrum.
Don't you build up Frankenstein's monster? Wasn't Frankenstein the doctor rather than the monster?
I didn't learn that.
Asking for a friend, that's all.
I don't know how you lie.
But I know what you mean. James Sherrington here is pressing on, but so also is Paul Petit. This number 8 Audi, because he's done, as you can see, an absolute best within the first sector. And as he comes now up towards the kink at 9 and the corner itself at 10, again, he's got the track position he needs. Nobody to get in the way, really.
Yeah, and that's sector 1 purple in this session, but would have been purple in Q1A and B as well. So it's a real lap as we now look at the number 1 car, which is in the purple. Sector 2 is going to cross the line. Needs to be a 1 minute 40 something to be somewhere near pole. Pole in Q1, 40.5.
And it's a 40.9. So it's there or thereabouts. It is an improvement over what he did last lap, but I reckon Paul Petit could be even faster. This is good so far. 2 cherries on the slot machine, if you like, 2 purples, 2 absolute best, so better than anybody has been in those sectors.
I think this is going to be a 40.4. I think this is going to be the fastest lap we've seen so far in any of the qualifying sessions.
1 corner to go then, barring any track limit dramas. Paul Petit accelerates out of the corner, nicely done. Uses the curve, it's all under control. We're going for a 40.4 on the Osborne predictor, and it is a 40.6, but 3 absolute bests across the sectors. Nothing wrong with that lap whatsoever, apart from your prediction. Really good effort, that. Paul Petit then, 1 minute 40.6. That means he's 3/10 quicker than the sister car.
Really good. My excuse is I think he left 2/10 at the last corner by being conservative with track limits. Like I said with Robertson, they would have looked at the delta, they realised it's a good lap. You don't want to lose it on the last corner with greed, and I think he lost the 2/10 that he did have as a big slide for Consigny in the background.
Is that a new shovel you bought to dig yourself out of these phrases, or is it the same one? There is Lachlan Evanet, whose car we saw in the hands of Meet Halban earlier on. Now, the car's only 18th, but this is going to be an improvement as well. Somebody else learning the circuit, and Evanet comes now into the right of 14, which is the Curva del Carro, if you'd rather give it a name than a number. And now he makes the run up towards the end of the lap then. So the ex-Australian Formula Ford, an Aussie racing car and Toyota Gazoo Cup driver, hence that Toyota GT4 link, powers his way to the line. Where's he going to end up? 18th he was, and 10th he becomes. Not bad. Harry Reynolds then in the meantime for 77. There in the background, look, the yellow McLaren. Absolute best sector 1.
Yep, sector 1 is definitely the McLaren sector here, isn't it? 2 is the Audi, and then 3 is pretty even across all 10 manufacturers, it would seem. It's not a bad sector 2. Like I said, it isn't a McLaren sector, so don't be fearful of that 4/10. It should be able to edge that back in. Remember, the target time now is that 1:40.6 from the Audi of Paul Petit. A little bit wide there off the apex curb, so going a longer distance, that won't help his lap time.
So Harry Reynolds then with the purple and a green, in other words, an absolute best and a personal best. Car looks edgy, doesn't it? Looks nervous as he came out of turn 15. This is the Curva Misano, the final turn on the racetrack. He comes up towards the line, breaks the beam now. 4th quickest, good job that by another newcomer to the circuit, Harry Reynolds. Now, there's one other driver we need to factor in, and it's in this car, Gabriele Piana. He's down a 5th, but Piana knows his way around here very well indeed. He's done a personal best sector 1, but actually dropped a couple of thousandths in sector 2. So what can he do? He's got to dig deep in his bag. He runs wide out of 14. Gabriele Piana then makes that run down towards turn 16, and the BMW driver, winner of both Spa races, heads up towards the timing line. It doesn't necessarily look like he's going to pull up trees and be pole position, but it might be good enough for the 2nd row, and it's a slowish lap in relation 3rd row. 6th quickest, 1:41.539. Actually didn't improve.
No, and each sector was getting incrementally worse. 1 was good, 2 was average, 3 was bad, which would show to me maybe the tyre is going away. As we look at Constantly again with a bit of traffic in front of him. He's pushing to the line. He's got time for 1 more lap after this one. He goes up to second with this lap low. The gap now down to just over a tenth to P1 Petit.
Yeah, you're right about that lap from Piana. Very odd as to why Piana was so out of tune, as it were, but he'll just about be able to do 1 more lap before the end of the session. As now up towards the line comes Pedro Garcia, and he will break the beam up to 9th. So an improvement for the Aston Martin. So you've got Audi, McLaren, Mercedes AMG, then McLaren, Toyota, BMW, Ford, Aston Martin, and McLaren. That's your order. And this is Charlie Hart, who is 3rd.
Yeah, in the McLaren. This car looking less edgy than the sister 77. We saw that in session 1 as well, didn't we? Stephen Hayden's looking pretty leery. Charlie Hart coming to the last corner. Charlie, super fast young British driver, should be able to get this car a little bit higher on the times. Maybe not up to second, but just trying to bridge that gap. Breaks the beam now, and he stays 3rd, but the lap time is a slight improvement.
It is indeed, and Charlie Hart then 3rd quickest, best McLaren from Harry Reynolds, and then Colin Cronin. 3 McLarens we have within silver. That's the order of them, and we've got 10 minutes to go. So in other words, the checkered flag has been shown to the silvers, and now it's the Pro-Ams and the Ams that will venture out for the final part of qualifying here.
The top 3 really in their own class, aren't they? So Paul Petit here in his class of his own, P1, only a 10th in front of his teammate, and then a 10th in front of Charlie Hart, then 5 tenths. So the top 3 have done a mega job.
Yeah, well polished silvers, and then silvers. But yeah, Paul Petit taking us back to the fact that it's an old car, but if it's driven well and it's run well, it's still competitive. Which in turn prompts you to say, isn't it a shame that Audi sort of gave up on GT racing to chase the Formula 1 dream? Because yesterday in FP2 for GT3, Audi R8 topped the times. They can still be competitive cars. Yeah,
I was at Goodwood Festival of Speed last week and saw Tom Christensen driving that new Audi sports car up the hill. And I've known Tom for a while, and I said, "Was this coming as a race car?" And he didn't say no. So let's hope, let's pray.
Yeah, exactly right. So there, the Mustang, Michael Haberant's car heading for the pit lane. The McLaren needs to get... Oh, no, they're going to take the flag. But why? Because they're slow laps. They've achieved nothing by that.
I would agree with you. I've got nothing more to add.
No, fair enough. I was going to say the pace of both made it look like they were going to box, but I see no purpose in A, completing that lap, nor doing a slow in lap.
The only thing I can offer you is that they are worried about their ride height and weight and now need a pickup lap. And they didn't do enough, but you're burning the fuel at the rate where you're probably going to get the weight back. So bizarre.
Hey ho. Sacha Botterman then is the first to think about sector times in this final part of qualifying. You can see how busy it is now with some of the cars heading for the pits, some heading for a time. Ravi Ramyeed goes through. There is Paolo Meloni's BMW. And Paul Petit is on provisional pole for race 2, and he's with Bryn Lucas.
Well, Paul, you currently have, as you duck out of shot, we don't want to get driven into here, you currently have a provisional pole here. It should be a pole, all bar the shouting. Your season started off pretty well. The last 3 races that you've taken part in have been very tough. So setting it up for race 2 here tomorrow with a pole position provisional must be the perfect start to this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. For the moment, the season is a little bit difficult to swallow. Yeah, you know, we are a lot of unlucky, not a little bit. But for me, I know we have a very good lineup. The car was really good today and also since the beginning of the season. So I think if we put everything on the good way, I think we can battle for the win.
Do you have to almost forget what's happened so far? Do you have to almost forget what's happened in the last 3 races and start now? Your season starts again now?
Yeah, for sure. We need to stay focused, you know, for the rest of the season. And we have a good position for the moment for the Sunday, but also for today. Greg did a good job. So, yeah, stay focused, did a good job, and let's go.
Bonne chance.
Merci beaucoup.
The point Paul Petit makes about this second half of the season, we're in it. I mean, we've got 2 races here, then you've only got Zandvoort and Portimao in October, and that's it. So that 30-point advantage that Enrico Federer and Cedric Fuchs have in silver, it's going to take some whittling away, and you can understand why Piana and Rackle need 2 good results here. Qualifying pace doesn't always go the BMW's way, but it comes good in racing.
Yeah, it's a very front-heavy season, isn't it? To always have one round left after this in 2 rounds, sorry, in July. So GT4 have been busy, haven't they, as we go into that sort of summer break after this.
And they're down the pit lane on the inside of the cover Misano. They come. So that's the Silvers pitting, and the Pro-Ams and the Ams carry on, and we'll start to piece together their lap times. Joel Mensch improved towards the very end. Joel Mensch doing a time to get number 110 Mercedes AMG up to 9th. Still the track limit penalties are filtering through, but it's not changed the order of Petit Consani and Charlie Hart. Alex Papadopoulos 4th, Harry Reynolds 5th, and then Hudson Schwartz 6th fastest.
So now we have the AM in the Pro-Am, so the bronze-graded drivers. It's going to be hard for them to get any silver scalps. The slowest silver car was only 2 seconds off pole, and that really is kind of where the fastest bronzes are, is a rough 2 seconds a lap off. And at the moment, one of the Lotuses here we're looking at of Abati coming into turn 8 is 3rd in class, 23rd overall. So we're kind of going to ignore the overall position and now super focus on their class positions and to see where these bronze-graded drivers can get to.
Would you like some good news?
Go on then.
Number 24 Porsche is on track after stopping in Q1.
Well, that's good news. I saw it go past our commentary box on a flatbed and assumed it was day done, but it's obviously a quick fix for them, and it's just in shot as it goes into turn 11.
So let's see what it can do. I think it's going to be a fairly gentle installation lap just to see if everything is okay, but then Nico Farahround starts, so it's shown as Nico Farahround, but I think that will have changed now, won't it, to Julien Brichet. They'll try and update that transponder. That will start to quicken its pace. There is the car of Max Abati. He's taken it over the Lotus from Stefano D'Aste, and this is a car that again has shown good pace already this season. Not always the luckiest, but this sister car has been a winner in Pro-Am, so there's no reason why that car, 26, can't be competitive as well. Over the timing line goes Abati, 21st overall, and that is, for now, the fastest Pro-Am time. Here, in the meantime, Ravi Ranyid in the car that Charlie Robertson took to Pro-Am pole earlier on.
Yeah, looking good for Ravi so far. Going to cross the line, has the target time of a 1:42.8, so he's just half a second off that Pro-Am pole, but does go second at the moment in class.
Car wriggling its way then out of turns 2 and 3, and then up towards the double apex Curva del Rio 4 and 5. There, very wide, Ravi Ranyid, that I would say goes as a track limit offence.
Yeah.
That time's deleted.
Yeah, agreed, and it's come up on the screen already, actually. So the problem with 16 is you lose that lap and the next because of the advantage of momentum onto the next lap. So 77 has been quite hot because it's lost one at 15 as well.
Yeah, 77 is Harry Reynolds, 71 is Ravi Ranyid, which I don't think yet... just as I say it, it pops up. Cancellation of current and next lap time. So the point that Joe was making is, as ever, valid. There, 32 is Joachim Bolting, who's also way wide there, going out of 13 up to the hairpin at 14 in the very colourful Porsche that now spins as he hoofs it on the throttle and completely lost the back end.
Yeah, stranger, looped round very lazily. No traction control intervention on that. And you would say that the driver there was just a bit slow to react with the opposite lock, and someone that's normally super fast, Joachim Volder. So we get into the corner, okay, the apex is hooked up, we jump on the throttle now, and it just starts to come round, and just not enough opposite lock, so you need to be turning left to go right as Lightning McQueen was taught, and it just didn't happen, and luckily for him, low speed tyres should be okay.
So Joachim Bolting then back into the session, but he's dropping down the order as a consequence, and we've got 2 minutes and change on the clock as you look there at the Florent Grisot GT4 Aston. Florent Grisot came out of Clio Cup France, changing teams for this year away from David Piget's team. Over the timing line goes Grisot up to 21st, and that is enough to be second currently in Pro-Am ahead of the Porsche of Julien Brichet.
Yeah, a car that was very up the order on our time screen was Botterman. He had 2 silver cars in front of him, and he was the Pro-Am leader, but he's lost his lap to track limits. He's all the way down in last place at the moment. He is on another lap now, but at the moment it seems to be this Lotus of Abati with the best staying power, 20th overall, first in class at the moment.
Ravi Ranyid is penultimate in the times, looking to try to get the wriggle on. You've got here number 16 Mercedes, another of the NM Racing Team cars. This is Maximilian Huber at the wheel of it, and Huber currently is at the foot of the times, but I think will not be there much longer. So Sasha Bottomam, 6th overall now, up to pole in Pro-Am at 1:41.409, and that puts the proverbial cat in the aviary, doesn't it now, because that is way clear of the class opposition.
That's incredible for a bronze-graded driver to be less than 0.8 of a second off around this difficult Misano circuit. Not long, but very technical circuit.
Shiny bronzes and all that. So Max Hubert coming up towards the end of the lap. So he's slowest of the 36 that we have in this session, but he's about to improve, surely, as long as he's not transgressed track limits. Hubert goes through and up to 29. Actually, it is an improvement, but it's not a massive one. This is another car that needs to improve, because now Ravi Ramyid is at the foot of the times. Remember, he lost effectively 2 laps. So as he comes across the line now, Ravi Ramyid goes through and does improve up to 29th. Paolo Maloney, BMW, next one in the background. It's the orange-nosed car chasing the Aston. Maloney will break the beam, and 24th he was, up to 19th.
Good lap there, local track, of course, racing under the San Marino flag, only a few kilometres down the road here at Misano, so they're going well in the championship as well, so their eyes are firmly looking forwards.
Yeah, the Dad and Lad team, there's another Dad and Lad entry, the Brunhagens, and there is 26 now, which has got Max Abati pressing on. His target in the times is Chris Solkelt's BMW, 19 thousandths between them. Chris Solkelt taking over from Daniel Drexel. They've had 2 class wins, in fact, this year, one at Paul Ricard, but the other at Spa. And this is Abati, who's lost a bit of time, I can see, in that middle sector. So you've got Bottomam from Paolo Meloni from Chris Solkelt as your top 3 in Pro-Am. The best Am is Daniel Blickler. And there's only 2 Ams here this weekend, so the Brunhagens are next in the queue.
Yeah, good for Blickler to be right in the mix, though, of his Am compatriots, 6th in that sort of subcategory that doesn't exist that I've just created. And Abati here, still out. We've had a lot of track time with him, haven't we? Watching him, and the car's looked great. It's just started to fall away. The Lotus seems to have dropped off as everyone else was able to improve. Takes the checkered flag, and that will be the best he can do. Is 5th at the moment. Not many cars improving around him, so should keep that 5th in class, 23rd overall.
And 24, Porsche, Nico Ferrarand then, up to 2nd. It's just taken the flag, up to 2nd in Pro-Am, having lost power in Q1. That's white ground to a halt. So that car going much, much better now that it's actually got some grunt to it. Flag, as you can see, is out. So Paul Petit and Sasha Bottomam are your provisional pole winners, and Audi again. So glad we started this broadcast talking about the age of the Audis, but it's clearly an Audi-friendly circuit. What we haven't seen is Julien Ripert's car. So you talked about that being damaged, but it looks as though Ripert couldn't repair.
Yeah, it was a big incident for him, and some damage on the front of the Porsche as well. I wonder if that was from this session or not. And this was the car we saw spin round but get going A-OK. But again, just showing how challenging this circuit can be.
Another one that didn't go out, Eric Evans, Ford Mustang, number 61. So that's something maybe that Bryn can research. Nathan Van Springel would have had it in Q1, Eric Evans in Q2, but that car shown as not having recorded a time.
Yeah, it wasn't quick in Q1. It was 33rd overall, and it was nearly 2 seconds off. So maybe a problem there that they got out in Q1, but got worse, or the team decided they're going to have to park it.
So Paul Petit, fastest in Q2, and his time 1 minute 40.636, slightly slower than the 40.5 of Benjamin Mariche, even though we thought the cars are going to be lighter and therefore a smidge quicker, but he'll take the point for pole, come what may. He'll be happy with that. And the field making its way down the pit lane as Misano sort of takes a breather for a moment before these cars race this evening. So Paul Petit tops Q2 from Robert Consani and then Charlie Hart. Alex Papadopoulos going well to be 4th ahead of Harry Reynolds, and then the Pro-Am pole winning Sasha Bottomam. Hudson Schwartz 7th from Gabriele Piana, Michael Haverans and Joel Mesh. Rounding out the top 10 from Pedro Garcia, Colin Cronin, then Cedric Fuchs a long way back ahead of Roberto Faria and Tudor Tudorachi 15th. The best of the AMs, quite a long way down, 27th, that's Daniel Blickler. But for Team Speed Car, pole in silver, pole in Pro-Am. A very good session indeed, and the W&S Motorsport Porsche, the car, topping the times within the AM category. So all of that leads us nicely to racing for the GT4 European Series. They are on track at 5:20 this evening. They sort of go into the evening. It won't be a night race as such. The light will be going a little bit, but it is the GT3 cars under the lights racing from just after 8 o'clock for an hour. And then GT4 11:30 tomorrow for its second race, or just after 11:30. So, an Audi circuit, you would argue. And good effort done by all of the team speed car drivers. Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consonny on their worst scoring run since 2022. They've won 36 points after 6 races. That's only just better than 30 at that same point in 2022. So they've got to somehow turn the season around. But they've done it pretty well with a pole and a second. This is how they look in Q1. Benjamin Lariche ahead of Luc Ibanez and then Yanni Stevenheidens. Mackenzie Cresswell 4th, Charlie Robertson 5th, Greg Gilbert 6th, then Vinnie Beltramelli from Enrico Ferderer, Clement Seiler and Sam Paley to round out the top 10. And as far as the classes are concerned, Silver, Benjamin Lariche, Pro-Am, Charlie Robertson making his debut here and taking pole position. And then in the Am contest, it is the Brunhagens topping the times. Christopher Brunhagen being fastest within Am in Q1. So that recaps who is where out of the sessions. And that done, let's have a look at some of the highlights of combined qualifying. GT4 European Series cars en masse at Misano. So many that qualifying split again to let the Silvers have 10 minutes on their own, and then the Pro-Ams and the Ams had 10 minutes uninterrupted. Luc Ibanez in Q1 looking quick despite liberal use of the curb. Yanni Stevenheidens having his first outing here as a GT driver. Lots of oversteer in his McLaren, but it was a quick car. But the quickest of the lot, number 1 for Benjamin Lariche, while Vinnie Beltramelli pressed on to take a class pole in the Pro-Am Audi, and that didn't last long because 71 Charlie Robertson got there just at the end of the session to be the fastest in the McLaren for Elite in Pro-Am. Thomas Rackel and Gabriele Piana's BMW looking to try to narrow the 30-point deficit to championship leading Cedric Fuchs and Enrico Ferderer. And when Q2 got underway, you had the McLaren in the hands of Charlie Hart going nicely, but Paul Petit it would be that was the fastest of the lot as he came through to take silver pole. Fractionally down on the Q1 time, but it didn't matter necessarily with it being a standalone grid. Jürgen Bolting, meanwhile, got a bit overly zealous with his right foot, looped the car going out of turn 13, but he was able to regroup and get back into the session as Max Abati's Lotus was also rapid, and that car would end up to be 4th within Pro-Am. So we're all set for 2 great races, the first coming up later on today here at Misano.